What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel. So in today's lesson we'll continue working on the Flutter Network series. So for today's lesson I'm gonna to talk about the basic usage for the deal package. We have been talking about the HTTP package in our last lesson. So if you want to know about the HTTP package, feel free to check my previous lesson in the Flutter Network series. Also, if you are new to my channel, feel free to reach out to my channel page and I create this Flutter roadmap for course for beginners. So you could follow this tutorial, and after you finish those, you can take a look this Flutter GetX build app from scratch tutorial and the Flutter UI from scratch tutorial. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, sum up my content, and open the notification so you won't miss out the latest Flutter tutorial. Okay, without further ado, let's get started. Okay, let's open our Visual Studio Code and the iOS emulator. As you see, I have run this DO example application on the iOS emulator, and I have wrote the code before today's lesson, and I will follow those examples and give you the explanation how to send the request to your existing backend. Follow the RESTful standard. The public API we're gonna use in today's lesson is come from this JsonPlaceHolder website, and you see they provide this HTTP method that we can use to test our application, and we could send a request to this post route and click this guide. We will navigate to this detail page and follow the send instruction. So back to the Visual Studio Code, and as you see, the request we get back is follow this format. We have the ID, title, body, and use ID. So we're gonna to construct these post class. As you see here, I create this post class with the same ID, user ID, title, and body. And then I create this factory name constructor from the JSON and return this post object. It took this JSON map, and we have these two JSON method as well. And last one is the static method can read a list of JSON map and return a list of posts. And for the UI part, the UI part is pretty straightforward. We have 6 buttons. The first one is get post. The second one is get post list. And we have these create post button, update post, delete button, and also the reset button. About that, I using this future builder, which can fetching these request and show the result on the screen. So the first thing we're going to show you is this deal client. So if you're going to use this deal package, so the first thing is you're going to this pub-dev, and you add this dependence to this pub.bc YAML file. And as you see here, after this Flutter SDK, and you can put under these Cupertino icons, and then you need to import the library. So in my deal client, as you see, I have import the library, which is deal.dar, and then I construct this deal instance. I use this instance to send a request. Also, I construct these based URL, which is the public API going to use. Also, I create this convenient endpoint, which is the basic URL concat with this post route. So the first method in this deal client is this fetch a single post. As you see, we just use this deal instant get method and put our post endpoint along with the post ID, and that's it. We can get the response back by using this debug print and print out the response on our console. Compare with the HTTP package we used in our last lesson. As you see, we're using this HTTP package.get method, and we need to construct this URI object, and then we will check the response.status code if equal to 100. Then we can call these post.phone JSON, and also we need to use this JSON decoder, which comes from this Dart converter library. But if we're using this deal package, we don't need to do a JSON convert, and also we don't need to check the status code. But instead, we're using this try catch block. So first, we're going to wrap everything in this try block, and we catch this deal error. If we have any error, you will show the status code and also the information what is this error. So let's try it out, and I'm going to click this get post button. So when I press this button, you see this one. In our deal example, we're using this future builder. So when I press this button, you are going to fetch the post. We create this variable, return this future post, and in our button, when I press the button, I'm going to use this deal client.fetch post, and I will put the result to this post variable, and I pass it to this future builder. If this post have data, it's going to show the data. As you see, we have data back, and we show the screen. And if we have error, you're going to show a text widget contains the error message. Otherwise, it just shows the circular progress indicator. That's you see why when I press this button, you will show the circular progress indicator first, because we don't have any data yet, so you will show this progress indicator. As long as we get the data back, you will load the result on the screen. Back to the deal client. As you see, we print out the response to the console. We're using this toString method. We convert this map object to this JSON string, right? So if we don't use this toString, we could pass to this post.phone JSON, this name constructor, and we can build this post object by using these data. And this data is actually a match the format which show in this documentation. Okay, and also you see I have commented out some code here. So it seems our endpoint is something like this. We have our poster row, and we could just pass the ID here. So we could just using deal.get, and we construct this post endpoint and with the ID. If we have the URL something like post, and we have quotation mark, and we have this ID equals 1. If we have this endpoint, we could use something like deal.get, and we could put our post endpoint, put this pure parameter, and we pass this map. A key is the ID, and the value is this post ID to these query parameters. So there is two ways. You need to decide which one you're going to use, depends on your endpoint. Okay, that's for this fetch post method with the value ID. And then I'm going to change the ID to this invalid ID. So let's comment out this, and uncomment this one. Here I'm going to fetch the post with this doesn't exist ID. So let's see what happened. Let's restart our application. I'm going to press this get post. When I press this get post, you will see we have the circular indicator. After circular indicator, we will get this error, which is the text widget, along with our error message. So fail to load the post 111, right? As you see here, when we encounter any like deal error, we're going to throw these exception fail to load the post with the post ID, which will capture by this future builder. We have this snapshot.has error, so you will convert our message and show in here, pass to our text widget. And also before this line 21, we debug print the static code. As you see here, the static code is 404. That means in our web resources, we couldn't find any post with the ID equals to 111. Okay, that's all for this fetch post method. So next we're going to talk about these fetch posts. In order to get a list of posts, so first back to this deal example, we're going to comment out this future builder for a single post. We're going to uncomment out this future post for a list of posts. Okay, let's save it. And we're going to restart our application. So here I'm going to click this button. It will fetch a list of posts. Only show the first two posts. So in this button, in this on press, just using this deal client dot fetch the posts. It's pretty straightforward. And in our deal client, we could using this post dot list from JSON and passing this map object, and we could get a list of posts back. So let's press this button. When I press this button, you see we actually get the two posts back. The next method inside this deal client is this create post method. So we're going to construct the post by parsing this user ID, title, and body to the data attribute inside this post method, right? And along with this post endpoint, so we're going to use this deal.post method. It's pretty straightforward and simple, right? And back to this documentation for the JSON placeholder. And when we create these resources, you will return the resources we create. So in this case, we will get our response data, and we could using this post dot from JSON and construct the object and show on the screen. So let's open this emulator. Back to the deal example. Here I'm going to comment out this future builder contain a list of posts. I'm going to comment it out, and uncomment this single post. Right? So save it and restart our application. The reason you see we have this error because when I comment out this one and uncomment out this, so we don't initiate this post, so it will cause this error. So we need to restart our application. Okay, after we restart our application, the error is gone. And scroll down to this elevated button. So when we create, we just pass the user ID, the test title, and test body. That's it. It's pretty simple and straightforward. Okay, so let's try it. So we're going to click this button, create post. When I create, so immediately you will see the circular indicator. After a while, the title and the body will show on the screen, and also we'll get these data back with the user ID, the title, and the body. the post ID was 101, which is created by this JSON placeholder, and you will return back to us. And we're using this JSON to construct our post object and show on the screen. So let's for this create post. So next one is update post. So it's pretty similar like this create post, but the difference is we need to pass in this post ID. So we need to concat this post endpoint with the ID we're going to change, and we can pass in the user ID, title, body, which to update our post. Right? So it's very straightforward. And back to this still example, for this update post, let's comment it out. So the post ID is 1, and we're going to change the user ID to 1, and the title to update title, a body to update body. So let's reset the screen, and we're going to update the post. So when I press this update post, you see the title is changed to update title, the body changed to update body, and the data we get back is this one. And you see we successfully update the data in the post, which ID is 1. Okay, so the last is this delete post. So for the delete post, we are not return anything. When it's success, we just debug print this delete success. So going to uncomment this one, and let's comment out this future build. Okay, and let's try this delete post. Also, I'm going to clear the console. When I press the delete post, you see this message shows delete the post successful. Okay, that's all for today's lesson. We have covered the basic usage for this deal package. We know how to send the get request, post request, put request, and delete request. And also I will put these Mindmap and source code in the description below. In the next tutorial, I will cover some actual feature come with this deal package. So don't forget to subscribe to my channel, some add my content, and open the notification so you won't miss out the latest Flutter tutorial. Okay, thanks for watching. I will see you in next video.